Many took to the streets in support of Trump. A member of his own family continues to speak out against him. Mary Trump is his only niece. The two are estranged, but Mary has been critical of his refusal to concede the presidential election, and she joins us now. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it because obviously, as I was joking with you during the commercial, Canada's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I'll point out this morning that your uncle, the president, was pretty active on social media today. And he said in one tweet, he won, which many then thought, oh, maybe he's starting the process of concession. But then he tweeted again that he was not conceding. What do you think is going on there from what you know about the president, Mary?
He's going to drag this out for as long as he's allowed to. He's stoking his followers into acts of violence. He's deliberately impeding the incoming administration. He's going to do whatever he can to steal more from the Treasury. And it looks right now like his job description is tweeting, playing golf, and being a white supremacist. So I think what should happen is that, the majority of us who are sane should ignore him. He is irrelevant. He's a lame duck. I was going to say president, but he's a lame duck, right? And it is up now to the Republican Party and Republican leadership to accept the fact that Joe Biden is going to be the United States next president. The longer they refuse to do that, the more dangerous it's going to be for all of us. And by the way, over 1,500 people died from COVID-19 in the United States yesterday, and over 1 million new cases were detected in the last week. We are in serious, serious trouble here.
There are, we know that Joe Biden won the election, but a lot of people did vote for Donald Trump. And surely part of what he's doing here must be to try and maintain that support. Do you think that's possible, and that is about, what the future holds for him potentially?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. There are a couple of different things going on here. It is impossible for him to wrap his head around the fact that not only that he lost, but that there's nothing he can do about it.
Right.
So he's going to hang on to whatever vestiges of power he's allowed to hang on to, because he knows as soon as he concedes, he's irrelevant. The fact that so many people, almost 72 million people, voted for him is a disgrace. I think it's a permanent stain on the United States. And you're right. This is his attempt to maintain his influence with what is a significant portion, almost half of the people who voted in this election. So, as I said, it's up to leadership to rein him in, to contain him. And the longer they fail to do that, the longer COVID goes unchecked, the more divisive the rhetoric in this country is going to be, the more divided we're going to be. And as I'm sure you guys in Canada have noticed, we're already deeply divided as it is.
Sure. Maybe remind Canadians, Mary, why you feel it's so important to speak out about your uncle. You wrote a best-selling book about it, but why you're still speaking about it now.
Well, initially it was because I wanted people to go into the 2020 election with information they may not have had in 2016. So nobody could pretend anymore that they didn't know who this person was. He also had a record. I'm continuing to speak out because every day he fails to concede, which, by the way, is not necessary. It's not the concession that's necessary. It's the acknowledgement that a new administration is coming in. Every day he fails to allow that to happen is a day that more Americans are at risk. It puts us at risk from a national security perspective. It also allows him the opportunity to, as I said earlier, profit off of the Treasury, to put us in danger. I mean, Donald Trump right now is the greatest national security risk the United States has.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Mary?
Well, he knows everything. He knows all of our classified information. This is a man who's almost $1 billion in debt. As soon as he loses the protection of the Oval Office, he is at risk for prosecution for various financial crimes that have been alleged against him. He's at risk as the defendant in lawsuits that have been brought against him, and he's at risk for having banks call in hundreds of millions of dollars of debt. So he's desperate, he's terrified, and as long as nobody is telling him to stop it, he will continue to push the envelope, which is essentially what he's been doing for the last 4 years.
There are reports, notably in the New York Times, that there are people around the president who are trying to get him to a process of understanding what comes next. Do you think that there's anyone around him that would be able to get him there, that could convince him about the next steps and the way to proceed?
No, I don't, unfortunately. The truth of the matter, though, is that his feelings don't matter. His acts in terms of, vis-a-vis Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't matter. I keep saying this, but it's so crucially important. It's his party that can put a stop to this, whether he accepts it or not. It's his party that can allow for a peaceful, smooth transition, which is for the benefit and safety of all Americans, not just people who voted for Joe Biden.
And the fact that we haven't really seen, it's Sunday, the only time we've seen the president was back on Friday, I guess, talking about COVID, not taking any questions, and that he's, tweeting, golfing, but not really engaging, at least publicly, in terms of what he's doing for the country. What do you take from that? Well,
he's, basically he's a coward. He can't face the reality. He's a desperate man. And he's terrified. He's terrified because he's in a position he's never been in his entire life. There's nobody to buy him out of this particular situation. He lost. He will no longer be in the White House come January 20th, 2021. So I imagine that he's having quite a lot of trouble keeping his emotions in check. And it does not help him that he lost decisively, but the Republican Party in general outperformed expectations. So he can't even blame Republicans for what happened. It's all down to him, and that will just further enrage him, which, again, puts the rest of us at risk.
Last question, Mary Trump. Do you think he might run again, as some are suggesting, in 2024?
I would say almost certainly not. In 2024, he'll be 78 years old. He's not a healthy person. Also, he will never put himself in a position where he can lose like this again. He's not handling the humiliation now. He certainly wouldn't be able to in 4 years. And also that would mean for 4 years, he is publicly in a sort of a supporting role, which is also intolerable for him.
Okay. Mary Trump, thank you so much for making the time this morning. We do appreciate it. Stay well.
Thank you.
Thank you.